Sure.
And if you're doing something that is like uncommon, there's like a lofty goal, which I've only had lofty goals my whole life, unapologetic, you know.
Never
But
apologize, dude,
yeah,
for your
no, man, you
dreams, man.
can't. You
Yep.
can't because like the future belongs to the people that believe in the beauty of their dreams.
That's
You know
right.
what I mean?
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Chicago Rio. Today we have a pretty cool cat. One of the most interesting guys I've met so far this year. He's a very talented young artist and has many talents. And I asked him to be on my podcast. So without further ado, welcome Michael Kendall. Yeah. So it's pretty interesting. I we met like a month ago at a festival.
Really?
Yeah.
That long?
Yeah. So
Right on.
and so tell me a little bit about yourself, dude. I know we've chatted and we hung out a couple times.
Yeah.
And thank you for being on. I think you have a lot of good stuff to share to our audience.
No, man.
And when I met you and we chatted at this music festival, um, you kind of reminded you have a cross between, and I was telling our producer, man, this guy is so cool. I got to get him on our podcast because you remind me of a James Dean, Johnny Cash. You know, it's
Oh,
just
man.
like if James Dean and Johnny Cash had a baby, it's you,
Man,
my
that
bro.
sounds too close to death. That sounds too close to death.
So tell me, man, tell me a little bit about yourself. You know, I know we've chatted and I know some brief history, but just tell me how you started. I know we are on location in your wood shop.
Yeah, man.
And
Welcome to the shop, everybody. This is Pilsen Made up above the legendary Hiron Books on 21st and Levitt in Pilsen, Chicago.
yeah, and those who don't know, is Pilsen is a very trendy neighborhood in Chicago. It's very focused on art and a lot of like musicians, art and murals. A lot of pretty cool murals in the neighborhood too, as well. And so, and this used to be is building is over 100 years old. It used to be like a
Yeah, this was a taffy apple factory.
yeah.
Well, it was a church, then a taffy apple factory, and yeah, man.
Yeah.
And now it's Hiron Books.
Yeah.
And I live with three other musicians here.
Yeah, it's
At the
pretty cool
space
because
and-
you this actually this space and we were doing some shots earlier, and this is like your typical, you know, like loft, pretty cool rock and roll kind of stuff. Because
Yeah, it's a
on one
bohemian.
side,
It's like a bohemian. It's a blessing, man. But
yeah,
it's
it's over
you know,
4,500 square foot here, and the front part is your living quarters, and the back part is your shop, and there's a freight elevator here that you
Right.
come up with, and that's pretty cool. So what got here? I know you're not originally from Chicago, and
Right.
you could just briefly touch on your story a little bit because it is pretty interesting, dude. And where were you born and grew up, and then I know you wound up in California and
Yeah.
do that. So touch on that stuff. So go ahead, bro.
Yeah, Michael Kendall. I was born in LaPorte, Indiana, and grew up there for 18 years. And my dad's an auto mechanic that owned a liquor store. My mom was a teacher, of public schools and stuff, and so I grew up there, and it's a
Pretty
small.
normal life.
Well, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
What is that? It depends on how you see it.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. So I grew up there, and it's an interesting place, man. It's rural, and
Yeah.
there's like 4 or 5 little lakes there,
Yeah.
and rivers and stuff like that. And then you have it's kind of a strange place, man. The biggest bomb factory during World War II and the Korean War ordnance plant in America was there, and it's like that. If that kind of is how the town kind of grew, and there's just how different people came there.
And
My-
how did you like? Is that where you started your music career?
Yeah,
Yeah.
career. I mean, that the thing with music in LaPorte, Indiana, is that like that wasn't even in the imagination of people to be a career. Really, there was there was literally in the town that I lived in, aside from the incredible people that taught music, there was one dude that was like a musician that I was like aware of that was, successful and had retired there when I was a little kid named Pinetop Perkins. And I mean, he's a legend. But he'd be in.
And what type of music?
Oh, I mean, he played ragtime. He's a legend. He played with Muddy Waters and.
Really?
No, he's like like
blues?
he's a legend. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's a blues legend. He's passed away. Rest in peace, man.
And that's
But
who inspired
he had retired.
you?
Well, he had retired in the town, and it's not like when you're a little kid, you know that somebody's a famous dude or something. Nobody in the town. A lot of people didn't. He had retired there because he was quiet, like right outside of Michigan City, Indiana. But he'd be in Roxy Music and stuff, playing keyboard and things like that, piano, and poking around every once in a while. And I'd ride my little bike down there or whatever, walk down.
Just
with my
listen to
parents.
his music?
Yeah, I'd just didn't really talk to him, but a couple times, man, I heard him, and it was like people like that, man, come from another world, but he was like a walking museum, man. Pine Top, man.
Yeah. And
Nobody knew that he was like this. Well, like I'm sure the guys at the store and whatever knew that, whatever like that, but like nobody knew who he was until one day there was an article in the Herald Argus in LaPorte, Indiana, which is the newspaper there, and it said, "Old man hits train." Like runs into,
Yeah.
As a whole article, this station wagon went through the railroad crossing and
Right.
ran into a train.
Right.
And it's just kind of an absurd kind of thing. And then the next day, then they realized like it's
Who he was.
Yeah, and then the next day it's like the article was like, "Old man that hit train is Pine Top Perkins."
Wow.
Local blues legend, man.
And,
he survived that too. He was like 92 or late 80s or something, but
Yeah.
he couldn't see very good and he wasn't supposed to drive.
Will you say that he inspired you to get into music?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Oh yeah,
So he
no,
was your
because I came
inspiration?
home. Yeah, so I came home one day, like I'd seen him and stuff, and I came home. My dad was It was like a Saturday. My dad was working on a car in the garage, changing brakes or something, and I just came home and I was 6 years old. I was like, I want to be a musician.
Yeah. After listening to his music?
Yeah, man. That day, I was like, Dad, I want to be a musician. And my dad was working on a car, and like to his credit, man, he stopped. Nobody in my family was artists or nothing. They were working people, man. But my dad stopped working on the car. He's like, all right, let's go. He had it covered in grease and everything. We go to that music store, and we walk in, and my dad's like, my son wants to be a musician. And so the clerk looks at me. I'm like a little kid, all bright-eyed, like, yeah, I want to be a musician. The clerk goes, okay, what instrument do you want to play? And I look at him, and I look at my dad, and I look at him, that like spark in my eye. I'm like, I want to play the flute.
The flute.
And my father looks at me, man, like, oh, just disgust, man. Like, he just looks at me with disgust and doesn't even hesitate, man. My dad looks at the clerk. He goes, if my son will be a musician, he will not play the fucking flute. Do y'all sell saxophones? So I started playing saxophone.
Really?
That
was the
man.
first instrument you
Because my dad liked Bob Seger, that song or whatever, Turn the Page and Bob Seger and the Live at the Bullet.
Yeah.
So yeah, I started playing saxophone. And I was very blessed, man. There was a rich community of the resources of people that knew were proficient musicians teaching, man. Jim Barco was my teacher, and he was like unbelievable and he took me on pretty young, and I studied with him for like 10 years, man. So I started, I learned all kinds of stuff. When you start doing anything that little, you're probably gonna be, if you're not good at it, by the time you're like 14 or whatever, it's like,
Right. So after you started learning the sax, what led into because you play other instruments?
Yeah, well, the thing is, like, when you're like young or like a kid like that, like, I really didn't like it when people told me to do anything, and people, be telling you practice whatever like that, and like it was two things. It was one, I wanted to be able to write a song because I was a writer too. I didn't think of it like that, but I would write a lot. There was just all kinds of different things.
That's right, you do write.
There was all kinds of stuff going on in my life, and I don't know why I wrote, but I wrote. So I wanted to have a way to put that to music, and you can't sing and play a saxophone.
Right.
You know what I mean, you can't play chords on the saxophone. Some will argue that John Coltrane did or different things, but it's like
John
it's
Coltrane.
it's a different kind of thing. So, and I wanted to get girls, man. Like, so I wanted to play guitar and sing at like show. It was hard to get like your own kind of band with like I don't know.
With
Maybe
a
we should have
sax.
tried. Yeah, with just like a music. Who wants to come see like a saxophone quartet?
So-
some people, but like
So
when
then
you're
you
young.
started taking guitar lessons, or you what,
Oh
what,
yeah,
what- what's the
briefly.
next step?
No, man. So here's what happened. So I got a guitar when I was like 12, and
Your pops bought it for you?
God, I really don't even remember. It was a Christmas present or one just like I don't think it would have been laying around. No one played instruments
Yeah.
in my family, but I don't. I think it was like a Christmas present or something. It was like a cheap like just Yamaha acoustic guitar or something. A black, man. I remember that thing, but I didn't play it at all. Got when I was 12, and I just stored all my contraband in there.
Yeah.
At the time, that's what I'd use it for,
Okay.
man. If we took like a Cuban cigar or something for my, or a little airplane bottle, whatever. We're bad, we're just rebellious. But I started playing it when I was like messing around with it when I was like 15. I took a little bit of lessons, man, before that, but not really.
So you're pretty much
So-
self-taught?
Oh, dude, yeah. I mean, the way I play, yeah.
Yeah. And so playing the guitar, and I've seen you play, dude, and I mean, you play. I'm not an expert, but damn,
me
you
either.
rock out, man, for sure.
Thanks, man.
And what kept you going to continue? You fell in love with the instrument, or
No, man, here's what kept me going. So I was 17, 18, and I had just started like my first like rock, like kind of indie band. And we,
Oh, really? What was the
with
name of the
some
band?
Below 62.
Below
with
62.
my friends, with my friend Trevor, and just some guys from school. And you know what I mean? And we did our,
Like when you were in high school,
Yeah, yeah,
that was
yeah.
big indie music,
dude, yeah, man, we were trying to, do the thing, and everybody was actually like really, they were all just great musicians. I couldn't play keys or nothing at the time, or like guitar
Yeah.
or anything like, but I would try to,
yeah.
So so we had that band, and then over the summer, I think after I graduated, the band fell apart, which is like the worst heartbreak in the world for a young person that has a band. Because a young person that's got a band on their own is a passionate person typically,
Yeah.
So so the band broke up. I was devastated, man. And I'd been nominated to the United States Naval Academy in West Point. And that's what I had worked toward. Music wasn't something that like I ever thought of again as like something I was gonna do.
Like a career.
Yeah.
You didn't expect that.
Dude.
That was just mostly like a hobby, a passion.
Well, it was like, as different places, it's like not even a real, like, people don't even think of that as something that you would go be. You know what I mean? Or do. You know what I mean? It's like, no. So I never thought of it like that. But it was like the summer, it's like the summer before, it was the summer before I was supposed to leave. And, for Annapolis, the United States Naval Academy. I was going to their preparatory school for a year, and then to the academy because I got the nomination early, but like then I just didn't care about school. I was like, well, I already got nominated, so I don't need to go to senior year of high school, so I'd be skipping. So then I had to go to they said I had to go to the prep school there. It's a big deal, man, to go to a military academy.
Yeah.
Especially coming out of public schools like me, because all the kids that go there are like, the Culver Military Academy or one of these like private schools so you're competing with all them just to get a nomination.
Wow.
So it's like, it's like a big deal, and people are, you say you're doing that, and I was like, debate everything like that, and people are like, and I was doing mock trial tournaments at Stanford University like over the summer of my junior year, and I was like, it was like, I was very good at that, man, but as kind of things went on, I was just like, I don't know. I just didn't want to do that. I wanted to go make music, and I do not like it when people tell me what to do. So as I started picking up guitar, everybody's saying, Michael, play a saxophone. I'm like, I don't want to play a saxophone. I want to play guitar and learn it, and I will in time. Just be patient. everybody's just like, you're really good at the saxophone. That's what my dad would say. He'd be like, you're really, like, as a reminder or something. I'm just like, that just made me not want to play it. You know what I mean? So I'm like, psh. So so I had been working up my guitar chops. We go to Bonnaroo, man, me and two buddies, and it was just like that was like a really special kind of trip. It was the last kind of hurrah for us before they were going to school or whatever, and I was taking off.
So you guys played gigs there, or?
No. We were just going to watch. We just drove down. But I mean, it was unbelievable, man. Like, it was unbelievable. We're 18 with this Jeep, take the doors off. It's like freedom. Yeah, I mean, this is like, it's like a coming of age or like something like that. And like we go, and I remember, man, I was with my friend Evan, and he actually passed away since then. But we were watching Cage the Elephant or something, and we were standing there, and he looked at me, man. He was like, "You could do this. You could do that." And I was like, "Really?" I started thinking about it, and by the time we left Tennessee and crossed like Kentucky, I was driving everything. I had already made up my mind I wasn't going to school. I made up my mind. I was like, I'm gonna be a musician. Yeah. So that was it, man. I mean, that's when I determined right there. I came home. First thing I told my dad, I'm not going to the Naval Academy. I'm gonna be a musician. And my dad's like, what? Yeah, I mean, he's pissed, man. Like, he was so, like...
Yeah, I wouldn't blame him.
My father worked very hard his whole life. My father didn't go to... He's not college educated, but, he ran a business from the age of 15 when his dad passed away, and, worked hard and stuff like that. He's just like, man, I let you play the saxophone as a little kid, and you're going to do this? You're going to do this to me? Like, you're going to do this? So I did that, and took off, and I had a friend named Adrian at the time from my hometown. And he had moved out to San Diego with his brother or something, and he had started a band with some other dudes there.
What type of music?
I mean, it was like Latin indie rock, basically, and that was kind of the direction, I guess.
Sure.
I mean, it wasn't like we didn't do it very long, but it was called The Visitors.
Okay.
And so this is in San Diego, and it was like just a whole different thing. At the time, they were playing a lot of just like cover songs of Sublime and stuff, and I wasn't interested in that. I wanted to write music, like I want to write songs, and so I left Indiana in my Mitsubishi Eclipse, man, this convertible stick shift, and I put all of my instruments just jammed into the back of this thing, man. I'll never forget it. And it was like I left there with like $120. Yeah, I mean,
it was $120.
Like I had
in
like
your pocket, and
I wouldn't, I mean, it was just like, yeah, fuck it, let's go.
Drove across country.
Yeah, no, and I had so much stuff jammed in this little car. It's like winter time, so you're driving through Colorado, all this with this car that has summer tires on, and no heat, and other, like little technical difficulty type things. So you're driving through the mountains of Colorado and everything like that. And I had wanted to bring some of my music, my records, and this thing was jammed, like, to the ceiling.
You couldn't see the back windshield?
To the ceiling, yeah. Oh, no way, man. This thing was jammed. And I didn't have room for my records, so I decided, I'm like, all right, well, I'll take 50 records with me that are, like, my favorites, because they're going to have to sit on my lap for the whole drive.
So we're talking about like 12-inch.
I'm driving,
vinyl.
Vinyl records. I got a stack of records on my lap the whole drive. So I moved into this apartment. We're all living like together, and it's like a 1.5 bedroom like apartment, man. And it was in the Gaslamp district, which is like downtown San Diego, which is unbelievable, incredible. And what we're living, man, is like just this tiny like apartment
I've been
stuff
there. It's beautiful there,
bro. Yeah, and it is, but it's like there's all kinds of things that come with that. You come from a rural place in the United States, Indiana. Like, I mean, it's a town where I grew up, but it ain't like San Diego. So it's like
sure.
So I move in there, and I mean, we're all living together to the point that it's like I'm doubling up with in my friend Adrian's room, living. I'm just living on the floor. Yeah, I mean, we made it happen. It's like this tiny apartment, but man, dude, it was just like there'd be like just man, there'd be like hundreds of cockroaches and shit on the walls, and
Oh my God.
just like stuff that in there aren't even really those bugs aren't really like it's a common thing down there. You know what I mean? But like, at that point you never experienced that, and it's like you can't even make a pot of coffee and go get your coffee without there being like a cockroach in the coffee and your pot. You know what I mean? Shit like that. And I'm like sleeping on the floor. It's just like
It was really
I
rough.
wasn't discouraged at all, but it was like, my parents were calling me like, "How's things going?" And I'm like, "Good. I'm gonna be famous in 2 months or something." You know what I mean? Like, it's like, but you know what I mean? It was like shit, and like, apartment was like, it was a lot. So we're all in there, and it's like that's the other thing. Like young bands, everybody's got like egos and stuff. So like, if me and Adrian wouldn't really have a problem. Like me and the other dude, the drummer Yago, man, he has a good spirit, man. But we would clash like a lot. We disagree because we both wanted to like be singers and and we just clash, man. And I wasn't with his shit, man, and he wasn't with mine. So we'd clash, and then you go home and you're living together and whatever.
It's tough, man.
So tough, man. It's just a bad way to do it. Yeah, I mean, we'd be like. So eventually, man, after being there, and we would, it was tough, bro. Like, so it's not like we had money for like a rehearsal space and stuff like that. Nah, man, like it wasn't like that. So we would literally rehearse on the streets, right there in the gas lamp, people walking by. And if we were out there for a while, hopefully we could make, maybe $20 maybe over a couple hours each, which was helpful.
Right.
I mean,
Just people that walk by.
yeah, man. So we would bring a little PA out there. He'd play cajon, and that's where we'd like rehearse mostly in the streets.
That's cool. And
And
how long were you out there for?
man, how long was it there? It was like, man, like 3 or 4 months, man. Yeah, months, because then, so me and Yago end up clashing, man, so bad, and he Well, if I finally come home one day, and one of my friends was flying out to see me. I get home, man, and my friend Emma calls me, and she's just like, "Yo, what is going on?" I'm like, "What do you mean? It's a beautiful day. Like, what are you talking about? There's obviously something I don't know about." She's like, "Oh, well, Adrian and the dude Yago messaged me over Facebook and said not to come because you aren't in the band anymore and you're actually going to be leaving San Diego." And I'm like, "What?"
So essentially, you got kicked out of the band.
So this is how I find, yeah.
Okay.
So I got kicked out of the band, and this is like how I find out that like I gotta, you know what I mean? It's
Sure.
like, what? Like, what do you do? I was like 18. I'm just like, like, what the
So
it's
that
bogus.
how did
Well,
it feel?
number-
like your dreams
well, number-
were your dreams were shattered?
Well,
or,
number one, I was ready to war that mother. Like, you know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like, I
Yeah,
was
I
ready
get
to
it.
war him, man. Like, but whatever, man. But it happens.
And what
But, like,
happened then?
so
you
I
left?
packed my shit up. I left some of my stuff. I was just like, fuck it. Like, I got out of there, and I'm just like, dude, I was crushed, man. Like, that was
it
bogus.
crushed you. Yeah.
Whatever, though, man. Like, that's part of life.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, things like that happen, but like, you gotta keep. You gotta.
What
I
kept
knew-
you? Let me say this.
Yeah.
And I know I this is like a 1 hour podcast, and like you just said, right? Your dreams were crushed, and you were
Dude.
hurt. You felt because you were out there. You in your mind. You told your parents, "I'm going to be famous in a few months,
Well,
2 or 3 months," right? And
yeah.
so your dreams were crushed. So what kept you pursuing music after that? Let's move forward to
man.
that. What kept you going? So you leave the band. You obviously moved out,
Yeah.
right? So what was next? Where did you wind up
Well,
after that?
Well, what kept me going mostly was at that time was probably carelessness.
Yeah.
But like, dude, I decided that like, even at that time, like, I didn't really care how long anything took or whatever. Like, it wasn't even really about that. Like, even at that time, I understood that if you continue to go forward and proceed, because everybody, if you're trying to do anything difficult in anything, people are gonna people are gonna say like, oh, you probably can't do that, or da 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 da.
Sure.
And if you're doing something that is like uncommon, that is like a lofty goal, which I've only had lofty goals my whole life, unapologetic, you know.
Never
Everybody,
apologize, dude,
yeah,
for
no,
your
man, you
dreams, man.
can't. You
Yep.
can't, because like the future belongs to the people that believe in the beauty of their dreams.
Yes,
You know
right.
what I mean? And it crushed it. Man, like that's one example of San Diego, but like, dude, bro, I've had dreams crushed in the past, you know what I mean?
So
You gotta like, at that point, it's like, you gotta understand that as long as you're willing to continue and proceed, that over time you'll refine and build skills required to be at a level of excellence in any field, like anything you do. And I knew that, you know what I mean? So it's like, yeah, you get crushed or whatever, but it's like, people would be like, oh, well, it's 1 in a million.
yeah.
And that's not true. You know what I mean? Really, it's like people don't
Repeat.
continue.
Yeah, yeah.
But like,
One thing about that, and I interview a lot of people, even in my own personal life, and people that I've mentored in the past. You should never apologize for your dreams or what you're pursuing in life. What kept you going, dude? Like,
well,
what was that thing that, you know what? I'm gonna just keep going at this.
well, it's two things, man. But it's the first thing. Like, I really didn't believe that I was gonna be famous in 2000. That's just like talking to your
Sure.
pet. That's just, you know what I mean? That's like just talk like that.
Right.
But it's like, when you go into any like a venture where there's camaraderie, like a band, a business, whatever, with people, for me it was like, I will grind through like the hard. I am unafraid of that, and that's a strength, But like, I'm unafraid. That doesn't bother me. I'm there for the long haul, and it'll take time and whatever. But I'm not intimidated by that.
What is it you do now? So, what's the coolest thing you do, man? I know you're involved in your community. I know, man, you carry such a good heart, dude. And I remember a few weeks ago we were kind of hanging out, and you just, man, you seem like you care for people, dude. And you're talking to some drunk guy across the street, and you were kind of consoling him because one of his friends has passed away, or the dude in the
Oh,
wheelchair
yeah, man.
that's around. I've seen that guy too, in the wheelchair with one leg, and he had passed away, and I just saw your concern, dude, and that speaks volumes on the type of guy you are, dude.
I got this wood shop so that so I can source all my material, all the wood here from the neighborhood.
So all the wood you get here for your wood shop and everything you make is out of the neighborhood. All the wood.
That's
reclaimed
that's
wood, or-
just I just began that, but it's
Okay.
that's like where I'm at now, my pursuit, and it's something that
And what
I've
what
been
type of
compelled to
products
do.
you make here?
Oh man, I make custom furniture, man. So I make everything from, earlier you see me here, I was working on a wooden mosaic.
Okay.
Number one, I'm trying to make like what I want to make, but you gotta make money too.
Sure.
So I do framing, I do furniture, I do different things like
When you
that.
say furniture, like tables, chairs.
Tables, man. Yeah, tables.
Uh-huh.
And all kinds, man.
Yeah.
Tables, and like even with the woodworking, man. So the name of like what I'm doing is called Pilsen Made, and you can check that out like on Etsy, or you can check that out.
Yeah. And
if
and
you want
so
more information, but like that's the name of it. But what I do is, man, what I'm really trying to do is just collaborate with all these skilled people in the neighborhood, man.
that's cool. So let me ask you this urban wood thing, all this wood that you get here,
Yeah.
you talk to the local tree guys or the arborist that
Yeah.
cuts the tree. What are you doing with that?
So it turns out like, they dump a lot of that wood isn't used, good hardwood, so it gets dumped. So I saw that as an opportunity, and they had to pay money to do that. So I saw
They
it as
make
an
chip,
opportunity.
right? Or they
They pay money to take it to a dump, run it through a wood chipper.
Wow.
Boom, forget about it. Trash.
And these are like 80
Yeah, I mean-
year old trees.
No, and
some-
it's like it's two things. It's like, number one, that connects to everybody's life because these are like, growing things in our urban environment, which is like kind of a beautiful thing. But it's like, Number two, it's perfectly good hardwood, that is cherry, black walnut, ash, maple, everything you can imagine. And so I saw it as an opportunity, and so called up my neighbor, got a chainsaw mill going, and within the capacity I got, that's what I'm building.
So all the wood that you get right now that you're getting and you're building
Mm-hmm.
is you made deals with the local tree cutters
Yeah,
and then they're just dumping the wood here,
yeah,
and then they don't have to pay to haul it or send it to a wood chipper,
right,
and then
right.
you're pretty much reclaiming that wood and you're making the products that you're selling, tables and
Yeah,
your mosaic things you're doing out of wood,
yep.
and all that frames. That's really cool, man. And so let's talk about your music stuff real quick.
Hmm.
What do you do with the music stuff? Like, I know you're a talented guy.
Yeah.
How many instruments do you play? Or what instruments do you
I
play?
play saxophone, guitar, and then harmonica and different things, and sing, and those are the main
Yeah.
things. But I don't play these instruments super well, but keys, drums,
Yeah,
different
that's
stuff.
cool. And you're also a songwriter, are you not?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I write
And
songs.
and so you write songs for other bands
No, I write songs for myself. Yeah,
and you
but I
play.
mean, I don't care if other
Yeah.
people will sing them.
Cool. Dude, and you also you write poems, don't you?
Sometimes,
Yeah.
yeah, I
And
don't force it, but when they come,
you
you know,
you mind sharing one before we end
yeah.
that you wrote?
Oh yeah, yeah, okay. It's funny too, man, because this was written 8 years ago, and it's about a tree.
Really?
I had nothing to do with woodworking. When I started here, man, I don't have a background in woodworking.
Yeah.
These are all skills I had to learn. All these tools. The only
Yeah.
tool I had a year and 8 months ago was that hand drill over there, the blue
Yeah.
Bosch hand drill. So it's
Dude,
like,
you got like
you got to
all kinds
build.
of
Well, you got to be
wood.
resourceful, and you got to pursue things actively, and you got to understand that there is always a way to get where you want to go if you're open to it.
Wow.
You know.
That's powerful, man.
So if
Yeah,
you're open
for
to
sure.
it, it's not going to be the way that people tell you. It's not going to be the way that you anticipate. But you can tune into some, just different energies that will guide whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
And that's what
That's cool.
That's what I'm riding, man. So whether it's poetry or building this like wood
Yeah.
this wood business, Pilsen Made or whatever, there's sparks of living in things that are just unbelievably meaningful or profound or exciting, inspiring, and those are the things that I try to listen to and follow. And
Cool.
yeah,
So yeah, man, if you don't mind sharing, dude, one of your
the
poems.
cypress of Keshmar. That's crazy, man.
The cypress of what?
Of Keshmar. That's crazy. I had no idea about wood at the time.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, it's a poem that I wrote, and it goes like this. Cradled high by the watershed scar, she bends in youth a turquoise ornament, swells a torch in her right grip, hails a stag and swoons a spliff to mark the rhythm of the moonlight drip. This basin waxes, yields, and wanes. Tangled currents wrote your face to the great swift river. Channeled indigo was this ship, but the quest a coal train sails and lifts to spark the rhythm of the moonlight drip. Between the stains of twilight's gulf, east coast swing she reads to lead. Between the vanity of shadow's light and shared insanity of this good night lives a heart to call, to rise and yearn, left bivouacked by the nightfall. Anticipation, though that rings untrue, the unstruck match that lives in you. And although it's repressed by jaws of tar, I seen emerald eyes in the cypress of Keshmar. Vibrations quench this quandary's trip to clench the rhythm of the moonlight drip.
Wow, dude, that's amazing, man. What inspired you to write that?
No idea.
You just wrote
Well,
it.
yeah, I don't know. I woke up in the middle of the night, and I was with my partner at the time, whatever. But like, I had the craziest dream I've had to this day, man. I woke up from that, and I was just like,
You just started writing.
I didn't just start right. I mean, I wrote that in like less than 5 minutes. Things like that, you can't just sit down and try to write.
Right.
It happens or is not,
Wow. And well, Well, thank you, dude. I want to thank you for taking the time. I know you're a busy guy, and I know you barely touched on the things you do and stuff. And definitely later on, I'm going to have you again. And but for those that want to buy like custom wood,
Yeah.
frames and whatever you do, furniture and mosaics, how do they get a hold of you? What's your Instagram handle?
Yeah, MT_Kendall. You can also check it out, man. Like
MT_Kendall, spell Kendall.
MT_KENDALL. So that's one place you can get a hold of me. And yeah, the name of the brand is Pilsen Made.
Okay.
And we do pop-ups, events, and all kinds of stuff all over.
Yeah.
But yeah, man.
And that's cool, man. And I know you do like in your shop here too. You hold like little concerts
Oh yeah.
and it's concerts and comedy
We had a
shows
we
and
had a
all that.
play.
Yeah.
We actually had a play in here like 3 or 4 weeks ago.
That's cool.
It was awesome, man.
Yeah.
Sam Shepard play.
Yeah.
Yeah. My roommates put that together. It was cool.
Yeah, man. Well, let's go. Well, thank you for being on, dude, and keep on moving forward, dude. And you're for your age, dude, it's pretty impressive. I'm very impressed by your not only the things you went through, but your tenacity to pursue your dreams. And I always tell people there's no excuse. Like failure is just a stepping stone, or to launch you where you're going.
It's even more than that, man.
Failure is just like it's just part of the process to success.
It's not even like that, man. I've been thinking about just going through my own things lately, like really, man, heavy shit. But like, really, man, when you start to think about it, like what failure is like the feeling of that. Because whatever I don't know what failure is, but like, really, that's a divine gift,
Yeah.
man. Because anything that you want to do, to realize that you're going to feel that, and that is like the most supreme and divine teacher that you can have if you can see it that way.
Yeah.
Like really, man. No matter what, whether your dreams or your relationships, things like that, like the things that are difficult, that have the most friction, that are holding you back in anything that you want to do in your life,
Yeah.
are also the greatest, supreme, like
Yeah.
divine. Those are divine gifts, man.
Cool.
Because those will help you. It'll help you get there. It's the
Well,
only way.
Thanks for being on the show, my bro.
Thank you, man.
All right.
Appreciate you, man.
Take care, man.